Did you know that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of Yah? My goal is to bless you with the Word. Listen to it while you're driving. Listen to it while you're walking along the way. Listen to it when you lay down at night. Listen to the Word.
Exodus chapter 10 verse 1 through chapter 13 verse 16. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted, so that I can demonstrate these signs of mine among them, so that you can tell your son and grandson about what I did to Egypt and about my signs that I demonstrated among them, and so that you will all know that I am Yahweh." Moshe and Aharon went in to Pharaoh and said to him, "Here is what Yahweh, the power of the Hebrews, says. How much longer will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go so that they can worship me. Otherwise, if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your territory. One won't be able to see the ground, so completely will the locusts cover it. They will eat anything you still have that escaped the hail, including every tree you have growing in the field. They will fill your houses and those of your servants, and of all the Egyptians. It will be like nothing your fathers or their fathers have ever seen since the day they were born until today." Then he turned his back and left. Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How much longer must this fellow be a snare for us? Let the people go and worship Yahweh their power. Don't you understand yet that Egypt is being destroyed?" So Moshe and Aharon were brought to Pharaoh again, and he said to them, "Go, worship Yahweh your power, but who exactly is going?" Moshe answered, "We will go with our young and our old, our sons and our daughters, and we will go with our flocks and herds, for we must celebrate a feast to Yahweh." Pharaoh said to them, "Yahweh certainly will be with you if I ever let you go with your children. It's clear that you are up to no good, nothing doing. Just the men among you may go and worship Yahweh. That's what you want, isn't it?" And they were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Reach out your hand over the land of Egypt so that locusts will invade the land and eat every plant that the hail has left." Moshe reached out with his staff over the land of Egypt, and Yahweh caused an east wind to blow on the land all day and all night. And in the morning, the east wind brought the locust. The locust went up over all the land of Egypt and settled throughout Egypt's territory. It was an invasion more severe than there had ever been before or will ever be again. They completely covered the ground so that the ground looked black. They ate every plant growing from the ground and all the fruit of the trees left by the hail. Not one green thing remained, not a tree and not a plant in the field, in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh hurried to summon Moshe and Aharon and said, "I have sinned against Yahweh your power and against you. Now, therefore, please forgive my sin just this once and intercede with Yahweh your power so that he will at least take away from me this deadly plague." He went out from Pharaoh and interceded with Yahweh. Yahweh reversed the wind and made it blow very strongly from the west. It took up the locust and drove them into the Sea of Suf. Not one locust remained on Egyptian soil. But Yahweh made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel go. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Reach out your hand toward the sky, and there will be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness so thick it can be felt." Moshe reached out his hand toward the sky, and there was a thick darkness in the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. People couldn't see each other, and no one went anywhere for 3 days. But all the people of Israel had light in their homes. Pharaoh summoned Moshe and said, "Go, worship Yahweh. Only leave your flocks and herds behind. Your children may go with you." Moshe answered, "You must also see to it that we have sacrifices and burnt offerings, so that we can sacrifice to Yahweh our power." Our livestock will also go with us. Not a hoof will be left behind, because we must choose some of them to worship Yahweh our power, and we don't know which ones we will need to worship Yahweh until we get there." But Yahweh made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he would not let them go. Pharaoh said to them, "Get away from me, and you had better not see my face again, because the day you see my face, you will die." Moshe answered, "Well spoken. I will see your face no more." Yahweh said to Moshe, "I'm going to bring still one more plague on Pharaoh and Egypt, and after that, he will let you leave here. When he does let you go, he will throw you out completely. Now, tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor and every woman her neighbor for gold and silver jewelry." Yahweh made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people. Moreover, Moshe was regarded by Pharaoh's servants and the people as a very great man in the land of Egypt. Moshe said, "Here is what Yahweh says. About midnight I will go out into Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the slave girl at the handmill, and all the firstborn of the livestock. There will be a horrendous wailing throughout all the land of Egypt. There has never been another like it, and there never will be again. But not even a dog's growl will be heard against any of the people of Israel, neither against people nor against animals. In this way, you will realize that Yahweh distinguishes between Egyptians and Israel. All your servants will come down to me, prostrate themselves before me, and say, 'Get out, you and all the people who follow you.' And after that I will go out." And he went out from Pharaoh in the heat of anger. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that still more of my wonders will be shown in the land of Egypt." Moshe and Aharon did all these wonders before Pharaoh, but Yahweh made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel leave his land. Yahweh spoke to Moshe and Aharon in the land of Egypt. He said, "You are to begin your calendar with this month. It will be the first month of the year for you. Speak to all the assembly of Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb or kid for his family, one per household, except that if the household is too small for a whole lamb or kid, then he and his next door neighbor should share one, dividing it in proportion to the number of people eating it. Your animal must be without defect, a male in its first year, and you may choose it from either the sheep or the goats. You are to keep it until the 14th day of the month, and then the entire assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at dusk. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the two sides and top of the door frame at the entrance of the house in which they eat it. That night they are to eat the meat, roasted in the fire. They are to eat it with matzah and maror. Don't eat it raw or boiled, but roast it in the fire, with its head, the lower parts of its legs, and its inner organs. Let nothing of it remain till morning. If any of it does remain, burn it up completely. Here is how you are to eat it: with your belt fastened, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you are to eat it hurriedly. It is Yahweh's Pesach, Passover. For that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both men and animals, and I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I am Yahweh. The blood will serve you as a sign marking the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. When I strike the land of Egypt, the death blow will not strike you. This will be a day for you to remember and celebrate as a festival to Yahweh. From generation to generation, you are to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. For 7 days, you are to eat matzah. On the first day, remove the leaven from your houses. For whoever eats hametz, leavened bread, from the first to the 7th day is to be cut off from Israel. On the 1st and 7th days, you are to have an assembly set aside for the Most High. On these days, no work is to be done, except what each must do to prepare his food. You may do only that. You are to observe the festival of Matzah, for on this very day I brought your divisions out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you are to observe this day from generation to generation by a perpetual regulation. From the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day, you are to eat matzah. During those 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. Whoever eats food with hametz in it is to be cut off from the community of Israel. It doesn't matter whether he is a foreigner or a citizen of the land. Eat nothing with hametz in it. Wherever you live, eat matzah. Then Moshe called for the leaders of Israel and said, "Select and take lambs for your families and slaughter the Pesach lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop leaves and dip it in the blood, which is in the basin, and smear it on the 2 sides and the top of the door frame. Then none of you is to go out the door of his house until morning, for Yahweh will pass through to kill the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on the top and on the 2 sides, Yahweh will pass over the door and will not allow the slaughterer to enter your houses and kill you. You are to observe this as a law, you and your descendants forever. When you come to the land which Yahweh will give you, as he has promised, you are to observe this ceremony. When your children ask you, 'What do you mean by this ceremony?' say, 'It is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Pesach, Passover, because Yahweh passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Egypt when he killed the Egyptians, but spared our houses.' The people of Israel bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the people of Israel went and did as Yahweh had ordered Moshe and Aaron. That is what they did. At midnight, Yahweh killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. Pharaoh got up in the night, he, all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a horrendous wailing in Egypt, for there wasn't a single house without someone dead in it. He summoned Moshe and Aaron by night and said, "Up and leave my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go, serve Yahweh as you said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you said, and get out of here. But bless me too." The Egyptians pressed to send the people out of the land quickly because they said, "Otherwise, we'll all be dead." The people took their dough before it had become leavened and wrapped their kneading bowls in their clothes on their shoulders. The people of Israel had done what Moshe had said. They had asked the Egyptians to give them silver and gold jewelry and clothing. And Yahweh had made the Egyptians so favorably disposed toward the people that they had let them have whatever they requested. Thus, they plundered the Egyptians. The people of Israel traveled from Ramses to Sukkot, some 600,000 men on foot, not counting children. A mixed crowd also went up with them, as well as livestock in large numbers, both flocks and herds. They baked matzah loaves from the dough they had brought out of Egypt, since it was unleavened, because they had been driven out of Egypt without time to prepare supplies for themselves. The time the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, to the day, all the visions of Yahweh left the land of Egypt. This was a night when Yahweh kept vigil to bring them out of the land of Egypt. And this same night continues to be a night when Yahweh keeps vigil for all the people of Israel through all their generations. Yahweh said to Moshe and Aaron, "This is the regulation for the Pesach lamb. No foreigner is to eat it. But if anyone has a slave he bought for money, when you have circumcised him, he may eat it. Neither a traveler nor a hired servant may eat it. It is to be eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the meat outside the house, and you are not to break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel is to keep it. If a foreigner staying with you wants to observe Yahweh's Pesach, all his males must be circumcised. Then he may take part and observe it. He will be like a citizen of the land. But no uncircumcised person is to eat it. The same teaching is to apply equally to the citizen and to the foreigner living among you. All the people of Israel did just as Yahweh had ordered Moshe and Aharon. On that very day, Yahweh brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their divisions. Yahweh said to Moshe, "Set aside for me all the firstborn. Whatever is first from the womb among the people of Israel, both of humans and of animals, belong to me." Moshe said to the people, "Remember this day on which you left Egypt, the abode of slavery, because Yahweh, by the strength of his hand, has brought you out to this place. Do not eat hametz. You are leaving today in the month of Aviv. When Yahweh brings you into the land of the Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite, Hivite, and Yebusite, which he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7 days you are to eat matzah, and the 7th day is to be a festival for Yahweh. Matzah is to be eaten throughout the 7 days. Neither hametz nor leavening agents are to be seen with you throughout your territory. On that day you are to tell your son, 'It is because of what Yahweh did for me when I left Egypt.' Moreover, it will serve you as a sign on your hand, as a reminder between your eyes, so that Yahweh's Torah may be on your lips, because with a strong hand Yahweh brought you out of Egypt. Therefore, you are to observe this regulation at its proper time, year after year. When Yahweh brings you into the land of the Canaanite, as he swore to you and your ancestors, and gives it to you, you are to set apart for Yahweh everything that is first from the womb. Every firstborn male animal will belong to Yahweh. Every firstborn from a donkey you are to redeem with a lamb. But if you choose not to redeem it, you must break its neck. But from people you are to redeem every firstborn son. When at some future time your son asks you, 'What is this?' then say to him, 'With a strong hand Yahweh brought us out of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. When Pharaoh was unwilling to let us go, Yahweh killed all the firstborn males in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of humans and the firstborn of animals. This is why I sacrifice to Yahweh any male that is first from the womb of an animal, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. This will serve as a sign on your hand and at the front of a headband around your forehead, that with a strong hand Yahweh brought us out of Egypt."